In February, after confinement in Romania, Andrew and Tristan Tate posted a video to their followers.
We're massively back, massively.
They were in a private plane being whisked to Florida. Since 2022, they had been under criminal investigation in Romania. They had both been accused of trafficking dozens of women into a porn business that they ran. Andrew had also been accused of raping one of those women and of having sex with a 15-year-old.
Which he brags about constantly. There are so many interviews he has done bragging about sleeping with girls who are under 18. Because he goes, well, it's legal there. It's legal there. So I don't want to hear anybody talk about like it was legally rape. It wasn't rape. It's a kid, bro. You're having sex with a kid.
Prosecutors in Romania had prohibited them from leaving the country.
Feel that? It's the feeling of leaving Romanian soil.
This moment is the culmination of years of efforts by the Tates to cozy up to conservative influencers, members of the Trump family, and administration officials. My name's Megan Toohey. I'm an investigative reporter here at the New York Times. My colleague Isabella Quai and I have spent months interviewing dozens of people in Romania, the United States, and Britain. We have reviewed hours and hours of video clips, hundreds of pages of text messages and emails and court documents. And we're able to piece together how the American right helped the Tate brothers get out of Romania. Andrew Tate and his brother Tristan are major stars in the so-called manosphere.
Welcome to the party, gentlemen. He-man, woman haters party. It's a man's party.
Okay, so Andrew Tate, again, no values, whatever it takes to win, okay? He goes, oh, are we supposed to love Trump right now? We love Trump. That's what Jeff Bezos and all these billionaires are doing. So when it was not cool to be conservative, they're like, look, we're liberals. We care about the environment. Now that it's cool to be conservative, they're like, we're conservatives. You know, that's how these people work in this bubble. Whatever they have to do, whoever's hand they have to shake to get ahead, to make money, to be, quote, the big dogs, that's all they care about. They do not have any actual values, any morals. They do not live by a code of ethics, none of it.
Andrew is a former professional kickboxer who built a huge online following, preaching unapologetic masculinity and chauvinism.
All of history was built by men, always has been. If a woman is going out with a man, she belongs to that man. That's his woman.
He's told his audience that they were victims of feminism, that they've been maligned by the economy and brainwashed by the media.
You are now full slave mode, and that's all they want. So you will continue to work your shit job for shit money.
He and his brother have gained millions and millions of followers. They sell online courses.
I just think it's interesting that these men made money, made their millions, made their wealth off of women. But the women get none of the credit. And he'll be like, oh, men built the world, but do you want to take credit for all the bullshit that men also did to women and the planet and people, right? Like, do you want to take any credit for that? You know, it's the idea that like they get to live in a world that says without these kinds of men, so not even men in general, by the way, because they don't like all men, right? Andrew Tate hates some kinds of men. What he means is the kind of man that I see myself as, I think is the best kind of man. When obviously it's so obvious they are the worst kind of men. But that's kind of the irony is that it works, especially with Trump being the president. He kind of gets to be the best kind of man because like, look, America voted for a man who's very similar to him, right? And so there is something to be said about the myth around, and again, I say this all the time, that the myth of the hero was created by the patriarchy, so mediocre men feel good about themselves. But again, it's not people who happen to be men. It's people who sign up for this version of masculinity that says without men, the world wouldn't be, as if that would ever work anywhere else. You know what I mean? Like the world doesn't even need to exist with humans, like because the world doesn't revolve around us. But see how the world revolves around men? The world could not have existed without men, but like the world does exist without people. The world does exist. But see, from a human perspective, if humans are the top of the food chain for you, if all you care about is people, then your narcissism, your ego, leads you to thinking that it centers around you as an existing like force and top of the food chain predator. And that's why you want to be the top of the food chain. And there's a lot to be deconstructed there, right? And yes, Chad, definitely a 2A. On the levels, definitely a 2A. I think born into a 2C bubble and like rose the ranks and figured it out and wanted to be a 2A. And I think that's why it's so gross. And I think that's why so many people become victims of these people. Epstein and Trump and Elon, they're victim makers. Andrew Tate, they make victims and call it masculinity.
to young men about how to make money and how to exploit women. That included this PhD program, short for Pimping Hose Degree. They share what they say they've learned in pushing their girlfriends into making online sexual content for paying customers.
It's not just about picking up girls, it's about like converting them into really loving you enough to moving in with you and working for you and giving you all the money.
What are we talking about? That's what I'm saying. He says it with his full chest. Men built the world.
The girlfriends into making online sexual content for paying customers.
It's not just about picking up girls, it's about like converting them into really loving you enough to moving in with you and working for you and giving you all the money.
The brothers who have both American and
Do you know what I'm saying? What is even up for debate? What is even up for debate? What is even up for debate?
and British citizenship started this porn business.
You know what this reminds me of? And Andrew should know this. He's black, okay? But it's like when white people want to take credit for building America. And I'm like, what about all the enslaved people? What about all the immigrants? And they're like, yeah, but who controlled them? Yeah, but who owned them? Yeah, but who led them? And I'm like, it's so interesting to me that without the same people you exploited, you could never have made your wealth. But then you get all the credit for not only exploiting people and enslaving people, but also you'd even do most of the work. See how they give themselves all the fucking credit?
Over a decade ago in Britain. In 2015.
Sorry, all of the credit and none of the responsibility of the bad. All of the credit and none of the responsibility.
Andrew was arrested 3 times after multiple women accused him of assault. And while prosecutors eventually declined to bring charges, the investigation prompted Andrew to leave Britain. Andrew said that he thought that they'd be better served in Romania.
It's a little bit lawless, you know? You can get away with shit you can't get away with in the West.
Eventually, the brothers get banned from several of the biggest social media platforms, only to find new homes on Rumble, a site that was backed by J.D. Vance's venture capital firm. And
What? Wait, I did not know that. Wait, I did not know that.
a right-wing site. And then things really explode. In December 2022, the brothers are arrested in Romania. They had been under criminal investigation for several months after a complaint that an American citizen had been held by them against her will. The brothers are charged with organizing a criminal group and trafficking 7 women into their porn business. And Andrew is also accused of raping one of those women. And later, prosecutors in Britain would bring charges of trafficking and rape against Andrew and Tristan.
And by the way, if with all of the evidence and Andrew Tate's own admission and videos isn't enough, you wonder why people don't come forward or go to the police. They were investigating these men. These men bragged about what they did. They literally bragged about it. We have video evidence of them, text messages bragging, and it isn't enough to convict them. And then you wonder why victims don't come forward and go to the cops. You won't believe it when the predator says it with their full chest that they did it. Andrew Tate with his full chest would be like, yeah, I had sex with kids. And you're like, nah, he didn't do that. That's feminist propaganda. The man said it himself, bro.
These additional charges that have been authorized will move forward once the Romanian case is complete. Through our reporting, we also found that the Tates have been quietly under investigation here in the United States by anti-trafficking agents and federal prosecutors. Andrew and Tristan Tate deny all allegations. While all of this is happening, they're building more and more powerful allies in the United States.
Okay, here we go. Yeah, philosophically evil person after another here, huh?
In 2017, as Andrew tells it, he did a tweet in support of Donald Trump, and soon Andrew and Don Jr. had connected at Trump Tower.
Jesus. Son, he made me a coffee. Like, he's a cool dude.
And this support and this relationship continues through 2023. When Andrew and his brother are placed under house arrest, Don Jr. sends out a tweet of support. By that point, the Tates had hired Joseph McBride, this attorney who had come to prominence representing Trump supporters accused of insurrection on January 6th. And McBride pitches his new client to conservative host Tucker Carlson, who travels to Romania and conducts a lengthy interview with Andrew in his mansion.
I mean, I was sympathetic to you already, but a man's accused of human trafficking. It's worth finding out what he's accused of.
The Tucker Carlson interview gets more than 112 million views. This is a key turning point.
See what I'm saying? It's all marketing. Like, it's all a package being sold and consumed. And I get that now. Like, I almost don't want to believe it because, like, I don't engage in this bubble and I don't think this way. But all of it at the end of the day is a way. That's why, you know how many emails I get, guys? I get emails all the time. Hey, Brittany, so-and-so is, is on book for their tour, are on tour for their book. Would you like to interview them on your pod? And I'm like, no. And like, I'll look into people and like, they are people and they're like, oh, hey, Britt, this person wants to, and that's how these people get on every podcast, because people are cold emailing content creators and content creators are saying yes, because in their head, this is like a good thing. But in my head, I'm like, I'm not going to do that. But I used to think it was just like harmless collaborations that were meant to be like people talking. And now I'm like, oh, you're like using me. Because I don't think that way. I don't think like about people using you for, you know what I'm saying? But like, that's what this is.
Soon, other high-profile conservatives are defending the Tates.
When I see some of these videos and I see conservatives assigning like real meaning to you saying stuff that is just so obviously.
Candace Owens is so philosophically evil. This is the queen of 2A's right here. She is so deceivingly, this is why her and Charlie Kirk's widow are like going at each other, because like they're both so playing the game and it's just a matter of who will come out on top, right? Like they're obviously so in the same game.
Content for young boys.
Andrew Tate and his brother Tristan stand for the same things that I stand for.
These relationships are mutually beneficial. These conservatives are tapping into Tate's audience to expand their reach and connect with a demographic that is crucial to the president's re-election campaign.
Listening to him with Tucker for an hour and a half, 2 hours, it clicked. Okay, now I see why he's popular.
And by 2024, Barron Trump is also a fan.
What? Barron? Barron, go to school.
Barron hosts a dinner at Mar-a-Lago for several
Oh, yeah, wait, I think I do know this.
prominent conservative influencers. One of them was Justin Waller, who has helped the Tates run their businesses and says that he's widely seen as the third brother. Waller told me that Barron admired the Tates, and he said that he and Barron called Andrew together and discussed the Tates case. When we reached out for comment, McBride called our reporting on the relationship between Andrew and Barron fake news. So the Tates are building up a lot of support here in the United States. And after Trump is reelected, some of the—
No, Barron is in school. Chet said Barron doesn't need school. He's rich already. But he is. He got accepted to one of the New York schools. Remember that video that came out and all the kids are like, oh, it's going to be weird going to school with him. And Trump is like, my son got into one of the best colleges. My son is so amazing. And I'm like, well, how cool would it have been if Barron took the Vivian route and fully rebelled? Let's go, Barron. We need, oh my God. Wouldn't it be amazing if one of Trump's kids were like, go fuck yourself? Vogue. Like, that's what we need, you know?
those supporters have even more power and influence than they did before. Paul Ingrassia, who had once served on the Tate's legal team, is now the White House liaison to the Justice Department. He had called Andrew Tate an extraordinary human being and a target of the deep state and the satanic elite. Alina Habba, who had served as a personal lawyer to Trump, was now a counselor to the president. She appeared on a podcast with Andrew in January.
We need strong, powerful voices like yours, and yeah, I got your back over here.
And this man, Richard Grenell, a special diplomatic envoy for Trump, discussed the Tate's case with at least 2 Romanian officials. Our reporting found that one of those discussions took place last December at Mar-a-Lago with an advisor to the Romanian prime minister. Ponta told us that he had discussed the Tate's case with Grenell. He then backpedaled and said they had not discussed the case. The other discussion was with Romania's foreign minister at a conference in Munich in February. In a statement to the Times, Grenell said it was the foreign minister who raised the issue of the Tates. His statement did not address the Mar-a-Lago conversation. The public support from some of these allies set off alarm bells in Romania. Officials at the American
Chet said on his question, is Andrew Tate still relevant? Well, he's currently being transported to Florida. So he's about to be, he might be the next president of the United States. Get ready, girls, lock in. Remember when I first ignored Andrew Tate too, and I said, no one's going to make this guy famous, and then he was everywhere? Don't underestimate him. Like I did before, because I underestimated him. I thought no one's stupid enough to fall for Andrew Tate. My bad. And now he's being flown to Florida. And he just might be the next president of the United States. He could do it. He's a U.S. citizen, right? That's what I'm saying.
Embassy in Romania told us that they feared what would happen if their bosses in Washington instructed them to release new passports to the Tates in violation of the Romanian criminal justice system. It didn't come to that, but an extraordinary order came down from the highest levels of the Romanian government. On February 26th, Andrew sent a text message to someone close to him that we reviewed. He had been made aware that he was going to be released. He wrote, I have very detailed instructions from the Americans about crossing borders, phones, passports, etc. I can't say more. This goes into instant effect. The next day, the Tates file a request that prosecutors lift their travel bans and return their
Chad said, I thought he's not from America originally. His parent is an American, aren't they? Isn't his mom an American, I think? Or his dad? Someone's an American originally, right? That's why he's both? Oh, he was born in Washington, D.C.? Yeah, so he's an American. Though they're trying to stop the birthright citizenship, so, you know. But no, he's an American.
Passports. We spoke to sources who spoke to us on the condition of anonymity, who told us that the prosecutors did not want to do this. But the prime minister believed that lifting the travel bans would appease the Trump administration.
Damn, bro.
He did not respond to requests for comment.
Damn, bro.
In the early hours of February 27th, the brothers were driven to a private plane.
No one has ever been more back than we just got.
At the time,
look at that smug smile, bro.
No one has ever been more back than we just.
This is why evil men get away in a philosophically evil world. Because there are people who are going to celebrate this. There are still people that would be, you know, just like, you know, thinking it was safe to like send their daughters to date this man. Ugh.
At the time, we asked McBride, their lawyer, whether the Trump administration had anything to do with their release. And he didn't answer the question directly, but he said, quote, do the math. These guys are on the plane.
Jesus Christ.
Once they're back in the United States, the Tates are filming themselves partying in Miami, looking at apartments in New York, hobnobbing with Kanye West in Los Angeles.
What?
Partying in Miami, looking at apartments in New York, hobnobbing with Kanye West in Los Angeles. But they weren't welcomed by all. There were some conservatives who spoke out against them upon their arrival. Some said that they undermined traditional conservative values.
Wait, this happened already. Why did I think the way they said the news, how the Tates were freed from Romania? Okay, so I thought this piece was saying that they are currently heading to Florida because we already knew this happened, but didn't they have to leave again? We'll look into it after this video.
Other people likened the allegations against them to the crimes of Jeffrey Epstein. Through all of this, it's becoming clear that there is a rift on the right. Trump says he knew nothing about it.
I know nothing about that. You're saying he's on a plane right now?
An official with the White House said it is not involved in anything related to the Tates' legal matter.
Actually, Chet said predators move in a flock, and this is why we question people who are friendly with predators. Not to say you can't play a role in trying to save your family from this group, but to say that if your family is in a group and you're in that group, then you are associated with them. Like, you are now associated. And the dilemma is like, what does that look like? It's a little gray and nuanced in a sense, but generally speaking, this is why guilty by association is such a big deal, right? So it is a big part of it, right? What is this comment? Your son knew about his legal matters. Of course, you know. He's probably mentions it at dinner. Your son knew, like Barron knew, like your son knew about his legal matters. Of course, you know. He's probably mentions it at dinner. Who? Barron? Oh, Barron. Yeah. Barron. I think like that's the thing is like, I think all of these people flock together because they are similar and because they are protecting each other. And I think that's the point. That's why I say to these women, please stop engaging with these men. They're so scary. Like, they're so dangerous and they need you. They need you. They need you. But then we have to also accept that women uphold patriarchy. And there are women like Candace Owens and others who will be more than happy to uplift these men in their power, thinking they'll get some of the benefit, right?
In March, they returned to Romania.
But if you are ready to, come out of it, if you want to get better, then I think you should have the right to redemption, right? Like, if they're truly like, oh my gosh, I just had a realization of how dangerous this is, and like I don't want to be this person anymore, then I think there is a path to redemption there.
For a court date and have not come back. Shortly after they left, one of Andrew's former girlfriends accused him of...
Okay, so they have not come back.
Assaulting her when they reunited during his visit.
We covered this on stream.
She said that when they had sex, he had beaten her and
See, like this girl, I know some people are like, well, she should have known. It is so hard to believe that the people in your life that make you laugh and have a good time are also predators. And I'm so sorry she had to go through this. And I am also glad she had a wake-up call. And I'm so glad she stood up for herself. But yeah, like, you know, I believe her because I also believe Lauren Southern, who also claims that Andrew Tate raped her. I believe her. Why wouldn't he? He literally already bragged about raping kids. Why would he rape women? Do you know what I'm saying? If he's willing to rape children, I'm pretty sure he'd be okay raping women. So I don't know why we're acting like that's so far-fetched.
choked her to near unconsciousness, which he denies.
Yeah, it's interesting. This is an investigation how the Tate brothers were freed from Romania. Okay, I wish this had been a little bit more updated. I know they just posted this, but I kind of wanted like an updated story, like where are the Tate bros now? Let's see. Let's see if we can find that out. Where are the Tate brothers now? Let's see. Let's see. This is in May. Charges have been authorized by CPS for offenses including rape, actual body harm, human trafficking. Andrew Tate will return to the UK, face charges. Let's see. Do I have, do we know, like, what are they doing now? Okay, investigation delves into the Tate brothers. Okay, we just watched this. So this makes sense, but like, okay, do we have any idea of where they are literally right now? Because I want to know that too. Like, I guess we'll have to wait and see, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Tate brothers, like, we're going to end up seeing them involved with some of our local politicians or some American politicians. But also, you know, this is how it starts. You network, you make friends, you get suggested, one thing leads to another. Like, we know there's corruption. I don't know why we're pretending like we don't know corruption exists. The dilemma, and this is why I say we're all complicit in the world as it is, the corruption is allowed to maintain because we maintain the corruption. And it's not easy to not disengage. I mean, it's very hard. It's very hard to, you know, bother thinking about corruption in politics when you can't put food on the table. But that corruption in politics is what is making it so hard to put food on the table. And so it's like a relationship. We're in an abusive relationship with politicians, with the governments, with these men. We are in a toxic relationship, and it's hard to know how to get out. It is so difficult. And that's why I think I focus so much on philosophy, because I'm just hoping that eventually through a process of learning, we'll gain some of the wisdom to know what to do, you know? Yeah. But it really is like all these men who love to brag about like men built the world. Well, exactly. It's not doing too good. Like, I just think it's so interesting that they're happy with the result of what they created. Is this it? This is the best you could do? Because it's pretty fucking bad. So what are you bragging about? What are you bragging about? You know, what do you think you're bragging about? I saw a girl on a TikTok say, I'm pretty sure if a woman did what Jesus did, they wouldn't have crucified her because they would have just been like, yeah, it makes sense. Like, Jesus as a man was so radical because he's like, love your neighbor, bro. But if a woman said that, they'd be like, women and their love their neighbor. But a man does it and it's radical and it starts a whole religion. These men, you know what I mean?